Thank you for joining us. We welcome your suggestions regarding. Thank you for joining us for Public Safety Echo. The Public Safety Echo project is the world's first of its kind effort to use the Echo model to address safety issues by bringing residents, workers, and businesses together in an online, social, and professional space to share skills, increase knowledge, and solve problems. In weekly sessions, Public Safety Echo teaches skills, educates partners in different aspects of a healthy community, and empowers community members.
All right. Happy New Year. Welcome, everybody, to the Downtown Public Safety Echo. I'm glad you're able to join us. It has been quite the year so far, so I'm happy you're taking the time and coming on the Echo, and we'll see if we can talk about last year in a more positive light.
See what I can do.
See what we can do, yes. Since I have him here, I'll go ahead and introduce my guest today. We'll get into all that shortly, but we've sort of changed some things around and using a different platform. But yeah, go ahead, Peter, say hello.
Hello, everybody. Peter from Downtown Albuquerque News, and I was trying to remember on the way over here. I think this is my 6th, maybe even 7th Downtown News Review annual. So.
Yeah, I just felt we had to keep it going, especially with the year that we've had. All right, and I'll go ahead and the other people in the audience, I'll go ahead and let them say hello since I have some people in the audience.
I'm Janet Mannery. I live downtown, and I'm the president of the Reynolds Addition Neighborhood Association.
I'm Dave Pinella. I live downtown and just a resident, so concerned what's going on.
I'm Jerry Bowe. I live in the Downtown Historic District, former transit analyst. I'm also on the board of the Prostate Cancer Support Association in Mexico.
Good afternoon, I'm Van. I'm third generation Mexican. I currently live in the Nobile area, but I work in the downtown corridor and trying to stay on top of everything you guys are doing.
All right, thank you for joining us. I'm looking to see if I have any new faces in the little Zoom boxes here, but I wanted to give. I see the downtown commander is here. I wanted to give him a chance to just say hello to everybody. Sonny, I can hear you. Hopefully I can hear you. There you go. I can't hear you. Hold on a second there. I don't know why. Is that me or you guys? 1 second, Commander. Well, yeah, go ahead, Commander Molina. Can we hear you? Nope, we still can't hear him. Well, while we figure out our technical problems, Commander, glad you were able to join us. We'll have you pop in once we get our sound things figured out. But I'll just move on to our. Oh, I think we have a sound change there. Yeah. The Downtown Public Safety Echo's goal is to increase safety by bringing residents, workers, visitors, and businesses together in an online social space to share skills, increase knowledge, and solve problems. Any views expressed by police officers or participating city officials are not meant to give legal advice and are only meant to educate and provide insight into the discussion. All right. Communication guidelines, please identify yourself when you're speaking. And as usual, let's be hard on the issues, easy on the people, stay on topic to respect time constraints, respect the speaker, respect the listener, and one comment or question at a time to give others a chance to speak. Let's be kind and let's have some fun too. I didn't have any specific announcements. I was going to ask Janet, since you're here, did you guys for the neighborhood association have anything you wanted to mention?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Thank-
And Mark, do we know if we have a chance to work on the sound there?
Everything seems to be coming through on our end. Can you try to have somebody talk on there real quick?
Yeah. Commander, can you try to say hello again? Yeah, he's still muted. Elliot, are you muted? No, I can't hear them either. I could turn on my computer to hear them. Well, I apologize for the sound issues. We'll figure that out.
The audio's coming through the computer. It might be a setting on Zoom I can mess with, but everybody hears what we're
Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, we'll figure out our sound problems. I did want to show everybody there. I do have a opportunity for you to give me some feedback, even though I can't hear your voices right now. There is a QR code on the screen if you want to let me know what kind of subjects or topics you want me to feature in the future. I also wanted to share with you guys that I also have a YouTube channel that features, is where I archive and share the sessions after they're happening. So even if you're unable to join us, I do record, and you can go on YouTube and just search at Public Safety Echo to get to our YouTube channel, where this and our other episodes for the Downtown Echo are currently being archived. Eventually I'll get more stuff archived on there. And other than that, like I was saying, today our presentation will be our annual year-end review, which Peter was saying this is like the 6th or 7th time in a row. How long have you been doing the Downtown Albuquerque News? How long have you been doing that?
Since 2019. So I think, yeah, summer of 2019. So I think the first time on Echo was the winter of 2020 before it all went down. So,
before it all went down.
Yeah.
All right. Well, again, as I had mentioned, there was a survey. I'll share that QR code again, just because I would love feedback from everybody, just about the kind of things and subjects that you want us to share on future Echoes. Other than that, as we were saying, for the last couple of years, we have featured Peter's annual review of what's been going on downtown. And as an independent journalist, I appreciate his viewpoint, and it's honest and fair. And even though well, what it gives us is some perspective here, and on what we need to focus on as a community. I think that's really the point of having it. Looking back, I'm sure it's not all going to be good, but I'm also hoping that it'll help us sort of figure out what kind of obstacles we're going to face to make it better. Because that's what actually the Echo is all about, trying to share those ideas. So I guess we'll go ahead and I'll put your slides up and we'll get right into it.
All right. Well, sounds good. And I guess for the moment at least, we are in the enviable position of being able to talk and not have people respond to us. So that's.
Hold on. They can actually join us in the chat. I didn't.
Well, that's what I was actually going to say. I would recommend anyone with comments or questions or random observations as I drone on here, please hop in the chat and share them. And I gather Daryl will be able to.
What am I doing here? Trying
to figure this out.
Okay, sorry, just trying to bring your presentation up there. There we go. All right. So
all set?
Yeah, I think we're. Do you have my screen there, Mark? Okay, there we go. I'm trying to. And how do I get it in presentation mode there? Well, for now, we'll go like this. I have to let some other people into the waiting room here.
We'll do a scrolly thing. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just get started there. So this is our annual state of how the downtown core is doing, and it's based on a report we actually put out every December. So, in a sentence, the downtown is stuck in first gear, so far as I can tell. And that's good news and bad news, because previously it was arguably stuck in neutral. But now it is stuck in first gear, so that's an improvement, but stuck is never quite where you want to be. So let's dive into exactly what that means and start with the next slide there. So here's the thing. If you are tired of hearing a lot of bad news about the downtown core, 2025 actually was kind of your year. Because while the classic problems we all hear about, crime, homelessness, but definitely probably more prominently in some circles, vacancies and the sort of general lack of bustle, that is still there, right?
Yeah.
That is still very much a day-to-day reality. On the other hand, we have a very long list of actual, real, tangible, high-profile progress to report. So let's get into that on the next slide. The first big thing that happened in the early part of 2025 was the opening of the Arrive Hotel, which had been eagerly anticipated for many years. We've got a new hotel there at Central and 8th. It has a restaurant, it has an art gallery, and it also has a great neighborhood, right? The 8th and Central area, kind of sub-district of downtown, is doing pretty well. Arguably it was doing pretty okay even a few years ago. There were businesses like Curious Toast and the OT Circus Gallery that were well established there. But in the last couple of years, we've seen, of course, Ex Novo and some other things come in there. So that block is doing pretty well. Next. And speaking of Ex Novo, I talked to the owner last summer/fall, and wrote a big article. But the two important words from that article were definitely working. So that's always a good position to be in. He took a big bet on that location.
Yeah.
It was something a little off the beaten path for his business. And he seems to be making a go of it. I mean, he's very open about these things. Some months are better than others, but on the whole, that seems to be working. So that square block surrounded by 8th, Copper, 7th, and Central basically has one vacancy, and it's under renovation, so it probably won't be for long. And it's got a bunch of cool businesses. Yeah. If that was all there was to downtown, nobody would complain about downtown. So let's continue with the good news on the next slide here. So this is the other interesting trend of 2025 came from the arts. And there's a couple of new galleries. These first two, Kukani and Secret Gallery, are on that square block.
Right, they're on 8th.
Near Central and 8th that we've been talking about. But we also saw the opening of Shutterbugs, which involves the students there that you see in the picture. And that's just a youth photography school that opened next to the Gizmo building. And we've got Cafe Entropy, which is doing special events, but they're not fully open. But eventually that promises to be a kind of experiential art venue, vaguely along the lines of a mini Meow Wolf. So that should be fun. We've got Pleased to Present soon to take over the Skip Mazel's building. But the big arts headline of last year is on the next slide, and that is the Gizmo building. So this was a big one, right? I mean, it's a huge building, former J.C. Penney, if memory serves.
Yep.
And it is, 3 or 4 stories, tons of square footage, and it had been owned by the Church of Scientology for a long time. They weren't doing much with it. the last tenant that was regularly in there, I think, moved out in 2019. The upper floors have been vacant for much longer than that. But it was purchased by local artist and entrepreneur and general contractor Sherry Kreider. And she's been working hard in there.
I've gone in and seen some of the
Have you?
improvements, and I'm very excited about the addition of an arts organization.
Sherry doesn't mess around.
No, sanitary
and
tortilla factory.
She just got in there and started making stuff happen. And supposedly, we're looking at months here for that to open. So that'll be coming back to life with a variety of arts-related businesses. So next slide here.
Sure.
On the food front, it was also a pretty good year in 25. We saw particularly ethnic food. We saw the Delicias La Negrita move in, a Cuban restaurant, the Afghan Kebab House. Luna's Kava Root is the kava is a sort of Polynesian origin drink. I'm not sure But kava is a very interesting thing, particularly now that...
I've seen a few of those kava places pop up.
It's part of this fascinating sobriety trend that has been cropping up in the last few years. Suddenly after 6,000 years, we apparently don't want to drink anymore. So that's
Well, I have to admit, I switched to kombucha.
Well, you're part of the problem slash solution, I guess, here with my tea as well.
Yeah.
The big one of the year, though, was definitely Lasso Coffee and Lager, which took over the former Bosey Brothers space. Bosey's still in that building using the production space.
In the back,
So it's an interesting thing. It used to be a brewery and a tap room for the brewery. Now it's a tap room, or now it's a production facility for two breweries, and a tap room and a coffee shop. So it's an interesting. The place is getting great reviews, but it's also an interesting example of piling uses into one space.
Well, it was a big space too. Even for them to. I'm glad the space is being used. That's the bottom line.
Totally. Yeah. Next.
All
right. The hit parade of good news continues with the conversion of the Wells Fargo building. Now this was, it's. Commercial real estate transactions are always a touch-and-go process, particularly when they involve significant government subsidies, and this one was no different. So, a lot of us were wondering whether this was really going to happen in 2025, but at the end, it did. You can go there now and see a fence around it. There are people working on it. They're doing the prep work for a conversion of the whole thing into a residential tower. And there will be some commercial space on the bottom. Wells Fargo itself also moved out last year. That's probably says a lot more about the state of physical banking in the mid-2020s than Wells Fargo's opinion of the downtown core, although that may have been a factor as well.
And do we have an idea of how many units are supposed to be in there? I've seen a lot of press about it happening, but I haven't actually found out the numbers.
Remember the exact. No, I've got it somewhere. I want to say I think it's over 100.
Okay.
But yeah, it'll be a. I think I figured out with census data that it was single-handedly going to increase the downtown population by 15% or something like that.
Oh wow,
so
wow. Well,
it's a serious operation there.
And there should be parks, I understand, around it and stuff. So we'll see.
Oh yeah, they'll do landscaping, and they've got grand plans for another tower. So a lot of to be continued on that one. All right, and then we'll just end the hit parade of good news with this block, this list of policy initiatives that are happened or are in the works. So we had the downtown vacancy ordinance passed and implemented last year. That's going to basically fine people who operate ground floor storefronts that are vacant.
And was that actually, did that contribute to what happened with the Gizmo building, do you feel?
I don't think that's been firmly established one way or another.
Okay.
This is I wouldn't expect a policy like this to be a major push towards non-vacancies, but it wouldn't surprise me if it nibbles around the edges a little bit, or even a little bit, shall we say.
Okay.
It's, it's arguably the fines are not
That's
significant
Okay.
in terms of, but they could have a psychological significance.
Right.
And then there's the other fact that these things come with registries, right? Like part of the deal is you have to get on a list.
Right.
And what's the impact of getting on a list? Well, some people won't care. Some people will just pay their few $100 and they're on the list and whatever.
Yeah.
Some people might use that as motivation to make some phone calls and find a tenant, or find somebody to buy the place who will find a tenant. And then it might also be that it's just easier for city economic development types or private
Right.
entrepreneurs to find these people and be
Right.
like, hey, have you considered doing X with your building?
Right.
So I don't think we're gonna know definitively, maybe ever, but definitely not for a long
Anytime
time,
soon, okay.
whether this is a smashing success or not. But Councilor Joaquin Baca, who sponsored it and championed it, is certainly a fan, and thinks it's helping. Although he has the same problems pointing to
Right.
specific concrete cases that I do.
Right.
So anyway, so the vacancy ordinance happened. It seems like we've finally reached some kind of détente over the barricades, in terms of they don't look hideous anymore, and they're easier to
Being
maneuver
dispensed,
around. Yeah.
Dispersed.
So
yeah.
they're not insanely expensive anymore. The Central Crossing project to replace the underpass is back on, at least half of it. So
Yeah.
maybe in a few months we'll be able to get to the tracks, though not to the other side
Yeah.
yet. So I don't know. That's a kind of long, tortuous path, that project. So maybe I would doubt we could walk across to the other side this
Anytime
year,
yeah.
but there is some slow progress happening there. They also closed the remaining underpass tunnel, so that's there's some serious pros and cons to that one, as with a lot of things on this list.
And I think that was just more so the issues of people gathering under there that was.
Yeah, well, and the flip side of that is, why can't the city
Right.
enforce its own stated policy of
Yeah.
It's not most downtown institutions. There are plenty of building owners who have no problem keeping
Right.
areas clear. The city had a problem, shall we say? But yeah. Then we've got another city initiative is the wayfinding. So they're working on new ways to make it easier for people to get around. There's the tax increment finance district, which is a live legal entity, although it's still a work in progress in terms of making it really count in terms of who's participating in it. So that's a work in progress. It looks like UNM is still very
Supposed to
much
be.
serious about moving to
Moving
downtown.
downtown.
I noticed with interest that there was a UNM rep from the provost's office on a Downtown Echo meeting, so I'm going to take that as a good sign.
Okay. Yeah.
That was a couple of weeks ago. They're working on an overhaul of 8th Street. They're working on an overhaul of the parking rules that seem tailor-made to encourage congestion and decrease commerce. The Downtowner project, an apartment complex at 2nd and Silver, has come back to life against all odds, albeit as an affordable housing rather than market rate project. The bid is still out there, seems to be making some very slow progress, but that's kind of, we'll see what happens with that. So the bottom line here is that a lot of stuff is happening. A lot of this stuff is quite controversial, but it is real action, and it's unlikely that everyone out there hates everything on this list. So there's action happening, and you probably like some of it at least.
Something for somebody on there somewhere.
so-
we're hoping.
Right. So this is another point in favor of, okay, we're not stuck in neutral anymore. things are actually happening. So let's get to the next slide. That all begs the question, however, what does this hit parade of good news really add up to? And I would argue that the answer is not as much as we might hope. Because while the direction is promising, we have a long way to go, and the pace is simply not very fast. And worse still for downtown's future, to the extent that improvement actually requires the cooperation of downtown stakeholders, all of this is going to be a lot harder because we do not currently have that. So let's dive in a little bit on the next slide and deal with the question of vacancies. So of course, this is a long-standing downtown issue. Vacancies are good for no one. It's like everyone agrees that vacancies suck, but and you know, we filled some last year.
Right.
Gizmo Building, great. Skip Mazel's, another big one.
Yeah.
Right. Like there's definitely some good news on the vacancy front. The bad news is that every one of those green dots on this map, and I apologize for people who are squinting right now, is a vacancy. There are a ton of them.
Yeah.
We're not going to get very far here if we're just filling 2 or 3 per year. And by the way, the dots on this map, those are just vacant storefronts.
Not even considering what's above that.
Not even considering what's above that. And that is like the underappreciated vacancy story of downtown.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we can all picture the vacant storefront.
Right.
But then we have underutilization everywhere.
Yeah.
And that includes things like, for example, Safe House tried to make a go of it with a kind of tap room for their distillery. They've closed it. Now, they're still there. They're still, you know, it's not vacant, but it's not, you know, what we want is something more like Lasso across the street, which is attracting crowds and pedestrians and life. Good, you know, positive eyes on the street, you know, neighborhood vibes there. Then we have this other phenomenon of nightclubs which have a lot of street front space and very few open hours.
Yeah.
So there are some, you could take 3 prominent nightclubs and they might add up to as many hours as a business like Red Door or Humble Coffee or something like that. We also have this phenomenon of storefront offices, which are, you know, not as good as, say, storefront industrial manufacturing, or not as bad as storefront industrial manufacturing. But that's not what we want, right? Yeah. Storefronts are for people, in an ideal world.
Active businesses, things with traffic, I guess.
Yeah, things like that.
Yeah.
And of course, that is before we even get to the upper floors, which you mentioned. And upper floor vacancies are legion. Like, there used to be a small hotel above Lindy's, and it hasn't been open for anything for a long time. There's the Marin Lofts have a couple of floors that are just waiting, you know, for the economic tea leaves to. I was mixing metaphors. The economic stars to align, and you know, another part of this reality check is that the situation with offices is still profoundly weird, right? We're still trying to figure out what these things are even for anymore.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, we used to have there's tons of office space down here. Just
tons. And the bright idea that we all had post-COVID was, well, let's turn them all into apartments. That is looking to be extremely difficult.
Yeah.
Most of these office building layouts are just not set up for what we traditionally think of as an apartment, and the industry, particularly in kind of edge case investment scenarios like downtown, the industry and their financial backers are not really in the mood to get super creative with design, right? Like you could take an office building and have really thin apartments that each have a small window at one end and a long
and a shared
thing.
Bathroom in the middle for the New Yorkers here.
You could do that.
Yeah, I mean, but and then it wouldn't even, who would want to pay market rate?
We are not seeing. I mean, you could. I
don't know.
I think you could work it. I mean, my pet theory is that we could all the preschool infrastructure that the state is looking to build. Like, why not in an office building downtown? Like, I think there's some creative things that could happen here. They are not happening yet.
Yeah, well,
But-
I mean, I definitely think we need some more creative approaches to some of these issues, for sure.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, commercial real estate, particularly in these times of high material and labor costs and interest rates, are
It's a whole
not.
different landscape than
They're-
anybody's had before.
They are a conservative bunch, and I get that, right? It's they're putting gajillions of dollars on the line, and I'm just sitting here yapping at them. So
Yeah.
that is what it
But
is.
we've seen it downtown with the Anastasi, the bank. I mean, other buildings. We've seen it over the years.
those were different times, though. That's pre-COVID, pre-construction cost insanity, stuff like that. So
it's only gotten worse.
all right. Next slide.
There we go.
So this is a case study. We started this presentation out with how awesome the square block of Central, 8th and 7th and Copper is. And it's also our case study for why we're stuck in first gear and not going very fast. Because as I was saying earlier, this is arguably what success looks like. This is no longer a revitalization project, this square block. This is revitalized, ED, past tense,
Right.
done. If all of downtown looked like that, no problem at all. And I would write a lot of articles that were just about how awesome we were. The thing about this square block, though, is that it has arguably been a work in progress since 2017,
Right.
when the former Hotel Blue closed, and people started thinking like, oh, hell, we got to do something about this. So that's the problem. Basically, it's 2025. It took from 2017 to 2025 to get to the point where we could basically declare victory. And if that's the time scale we're working on, we are all going to be dead by the time downtown is revitalized. And I, for one, would like to be alive. So here's the other problem going on. Major projects, downtown is basically a small town, and major projects are very difficult to hide from anyone, but particularly a guy like me who goes around and talks to people all day.
Right.
So far as I can tell, there is not a lot in the downtown
major
pipeline
projects, yeah.
right now. I mean, we talked about the Downtowner, that's happening. Everything else is like rumor and innuendo, so far as I can tell. And there's always tons of that going on in the downtown circles for those who are not super plugged into those. But so yeah, I mean, our pace of success is measured in many years, and so far as I can tell, there's just not a lot in the pipeline. So, we're on pace to be dead by the time anything cool happens. So that's a problem. Meanwhile, street homelessness appears to be getting worse. This is the chart here on the right is a survey that I do against all reason in the early hours of the morning 4 times a year. Just counting people sitting, sleeping, or tending a campsite in the hour before dawn. And last year was definitely the worst year I've seen in the survey, and it had the first and second worst quarter. So, it's sometimes this is overblown, right? Like, it is certainly possible for businesses to thrive and still have homeless people hanging around a downtown core. But if the proportions are wrong or unfavorable enough, if the ratios are off, let's say, it can be a major drag on property owners looking to rent out space, particularly if there's a situation where if one of the tiny minority of homeless people wants to enter a building and cause a scene.
Right.
If the situation is that calling APD is gonna bring a solution in a matter of hours, then that's a pretty hard sell for a future tenant. It's a harder sell for that future tenant to sell to their employees.
Right.
So everything about that situation is a drag on the downtown GDP.
It's definitely a discussion I have with a lot of the businesses and people downtown.
no,
How do we make that work better?
You've been living that. So, apart from homelessness, the look of downtown is pretty grungy. And this is a thing Councillor Baca has been on about for years. His whole argument is that it's downtown is safe but uncomfortable. And I think that's an interesting way to frame it. One thing, and this is a very subjective issue, right? Like, you ask some people, do you feel safe downtown? And they're like, absolutely, never had a problem.
Yeah.
And some people are like, I would never
you
even.
quite the
Yeah,
you know.
It's like I won't go past Broadway or whatever it is. But it's very hard to argue that downtown's look expresses a loved and well-tended vibe about it. It is a pretty unkempt. It's like, me when I wake up in the morning. That's kind of the vibe we're dealing with. Now, again, this doesn't bother the regulars, right? Like, I still walk around downtown at all hours, and don't give it a second thought. I'm sure you do too.
I do too, yeah.
But it drives scores of people to places like Uptown and Old Town, where things are just more comfortable and put together and pleasant. And you may be wondering why these pictures of downtown on the right do not have anything to do with what I'm talking about, because this looks great. And the reason is that's downtown Tucson. This is what...
Wait, what? You did a fake there.
I did. This is what
a
similar downtown in a similarly sized city in a similar region to us can look like if the right parts are fit together. But they're not, so we have our current grungy, uncomfortable look.
Yeah.
So, next slide.
Well, and I was gonna just throw it to the folks in the audience who live downtown. How do you feel about the grunginess?
It's pretty grungy. I think when I look at other cities, and it kind of makes me wonder how serious the city is to really revitalize downtown when flower planters don't have flowers in it. When trees by the library, somebody broke them off like 3 years ago, and the little stick is still sticking up there, and they haven't replaced trees. And the other thing is, why is there so much disgusting gum on the sidewalk? I know the city has a machine to get it off, but they never seem to use it. And it just lends to the grunginess. And I live downtown. I'm going to be 71 this year. I feel safe downtown. But as far as aesthetics go, it's okay.
Yeah.
Sort of, sometimes not.
Yeah. I mean, the ambassadors do a great job of cleaning up downtown every day. It's made a huge difference, but downtown is gray. Like you say, you have the color. They talked about signage for businesses to give them a grant or something, whatever. Why not come up with a theme of what downtown should look like with all the stores? Or do you want to embrace Route 66 theme with neon, whatever, but come up with an overall theme of what downtown could look like on there. It needs a refresh.
Okay.
Is the biggest thing.
Thanks. Okay, we'll get back on. I wanted to give them a little.
Sure. When it comes to aesthetics and cleanliness, and things like that, it's usually wrapped up in the mantra of clean, green, and safe. And usually that is the portfolio of a business improvement district. Now these are kind of micro quasi-government entities that are funded by property taxes in a very small district and basically run by the property owners who pay those taxes. And in fact are started only by those property owners that pay those taxes. And what typically happens is they go and hire a big team, sort of like the downtown ambassadors, but double or triple that. Because there's an argument that the downtown ambassadors are great but outgunned. And these
Can't
teams
grow fast enough.
These teams focus on clean and beautification, and they frankly run interference with homeless people. And that looks like, I'm sure in some cities it looks like outright harassment to the point where the ACLU would get involved. But in other cities, it looks more like if somebody's camped out in an alcove, they make sure that that episode lasts for, an hour or two rather than a day or three or a week. So that's the kind of entrenchment prevention. Their security teams are also able to respond to incidents, if they're well run, in minutes rather than hours. So, if somebody's entering your business and causing trouble in a place like Tucson where they have a bid, you probably don't call Tucson PD. You probably call the bid, and they're there in 3 to 5 minutes,
right,
and they're dealing with the situation. Now, that makes it a lot easier to come back and sell your employees on the idea of like, hey, you should work here, right? Or sell future tenants on the idea of, hey, you should rent here. So it often improves the business climate considerably to have a business improvement district, hence the name. There is a bid organizing effort in downtown, but it's very slow in terms of getting over the line. It'll probably be a fight to get it over the first line and then to actually implement it. And the main thing here is it's pretty controversial.
We just don't have the tenants down there to even engage in it.
It's more the property owners.
No,
And it's specifically the biggest opponent of the bid is Doug Peterson, who was on the board of the first bid. And if you talk to him, he'll be like, learn my lesson. We're not doing that again. And he's a massive property owner. He controls some large double-digit percentage
of downtown
of the votes you'll need to get this thing over the line. So, but it's also it's not just Doug, right? It's like there's a lack of trust between a lot of key players downtown, and that's despite the fact that they actually agree about the ends.
The result that they want is all the same, but they don't agree on how to get there.
Tim Keller and Doug Peterson don't agree on much.
Yeah.
But if you were to get them in a room, they would both say, we need more security downtown. We need more beautification downtown. So, it's an interesting argument, but there is not much alignment going on here. So, if the other major thriving urban center in our area is any indication, this lack of alignment downtown is a big problem.
Right.
Now, you may have noticed in recent years that Old Town is great and seems to get better every year. It is, Albuquerque's original downtown, and they are consistently kind of showing up downtown. In many ways. And I would argue that at its root, that is less about some pre-existing advantage they had as this, amazing tourism center since the big makeover to the sort of old school Pueblo style they did in the 50s. And it's more about the fact that they work well with each other. The major downtown stakeholders, there is no Keller versus Peterson argument equivalent in Old Town, right? They have their days, but on the whole, they pretty much agree on the vision thing, and they work pretty well together. And that has looked like, in the last few years, them getting together and executing on projects. And you saw this beautiful new neon sign, faux neon, I should say, for the purists, LED neon, that went on the corner of Central and San Felipe. That was not a city thing, right? Okay. That was the Historic Old Town Association went out, got some grants. They worked with the city. It's city property, but that was not led by the city. And this is the same organization that has put together its own crack security arrangement for Old Town. So, unlike downtown, if downtown business owner has a problem, they call APD and wait an hour or two, potentially. If in Old Town, they wait 10 or 15 minutes before their private security shows up. This just makes it easier to do business in Old Town. And here's the thing that's just been cropping up in Old Town in recent weeks. They're actually thinking about a bid. Nothing formal yet, but there's some conversations about a business improvement district in Old Town. And it's conceivable that they are actually closer to implementing one than downtown, even though they haven't started
it yet.
because they have the
cohesiveness
political
among-
coherence.
yeah.
So this sort of cooperation has reaped all sorts of rewards for them in recent years.
Second stories in Old Town. That's what it is. Not
I mean, yeah, arguably they were dealt a better hand, but they are playing it very well. And so that's, if to the extent, like I said, to the extent that cooperation is important for the future of downtown, that's a big missing piece.
Yeah.
So this is all to say, getting back to the thesis here, and then we'll wrap up and take questions and comments. Good things are definitely happening downtown, albeit not fast enough. We just don't seem to have the political foundation yet for building something that's, in third or fourth gear. At least not yet. I'll give you one more, moral of the Old Town story. Old Town wasn't always, doing this great, 5 years ago even.
Yeah.
But they had some key bits of turnover, and a group of people that could easily fit around this table seemed to have touched something off. And now that group has brought in another group, or inspired another group that was already there, and that's how they're having that success. So one should never give up on downtown, and not just for sentimental reasons, because it is entirely possible to get these stars aligned. But the lesson of 2025 is that now that we're finally moving downtown, everything just looks harder and like it's going to take longer than it would before. So final slide here. Do some quick housekeeping. Thanks for tuning in to another Downtown News Review. There's a copy of this deck at downtownalbuquerquenews.com/echo. Also threw some links to recent editions there if you're new to the publication. You can contact us or subscribe through there as well. It's $10 a month or $100 a year. Publish on email on weekdays except federal holidays.
All right.
And that is the deal. That's the way it is, Daryl.
All right. Well, I mean, I don't think any of that was, a shocking surprise to anyone. I definitely wanted to open it up to some feedback from people. I'll see anybody here in the audience had
question on the underpass. The underpass, they're moving, the pedestrian access will be on the upper area over the railroad tracks. You said that right now that the underpass is closed and you can't go across the track. How does somebody walk across Central Avenue to the other side right now?
That's a great question, and one
They didn't leave any pedestrian access open
They did
until
not.
the project's done?
No. I asked that question, and the answer was MLK.
Oh, well, so they expect people to going to walk all the way over to MLK to go to the other side and then all the way walk back down to Central.
Yeah.
I'm sure most people are probably just going to walk in the street part of Central Avenue, making a
Well, yeah, you can't go in the street under the underpass. That would be highly dangerous.
I will say
I guarantee you, people will do. I've seen people do that.
I've seen people bike through there.
So they just created a very dangerous. Why didn't they just leave one of the sidewalks open?
Well, again,
On the
that
underpass.
was our discussion
that-
about people conglomerating there and a lot of drug use going on and other things.
It's been that way for years.
Right.
The stated reason was all the construction equipment that they had to add, right?
Yes, that's true.
So they just cut it off. Okay.
I mean, granted, when the
affected by
construction
this too.
started, I don't believe they really knew what was entailed with that wall there, because from what I understand, there was a lot of issues when they actually started to get into it, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. The first underpass that they cut off.
I mean, they did.
It wasn't supposed to take as long, but
Yeah, I mean, it definitely wasn't supposed to take as long. They did tell us at the beginning of this that there would always be a pedestrian passageway open.
right.
And Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say if it could be both, right? It could be that the way they're doing the construction is forcing their hand, but they could have also just arranged to force their own hand, right? It's, you know.
So this also affects me. I often walk down Central or toward Nob Hill or whatever. So I would see either I would more likely to go to coal or lead to cross over.
Right,
Yeah.
that's over the bridge.
But that is also, I think, also true that if you're approaching, in the past when you're approaching the underpass on the north side, sometimes it was like a wall if you saw a lot of people in there and you were scared.
Oh yeah.
So
No,
I usually just plow through, but a lot of people wouldn't.
it is. I mean, getting back to the theme of like maybe not unsafe, but definitely uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That was the Central Underpass in a nutshell.
I wanted to see, I believe I have my sound issues. Did anyone on the call have any questions for Peter or some comments about the presentation? No. Everybody seems to be quite content there, but go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah, so, I mean, one of the things a few years ago, I got upset about cost of parking at the pit. I walked from 12th Street 3 miles to the pit and back. I lost 6 pounds during winter. And, so it's like I'm not in fear downtown. I'm smart about what I do. The other thing I want to big shout out to JJ Mancini and the vision he's had over at Old Town. He's been the game changer there. He's got people thinking different than t-shirts and pottery. They have the Day of the Dead, 8 days. That is not a city event. That is an Old Town event. They have changed where they have a couple of wineries there, microbreweries, distilleries. The one who owns, what's the name of the brewery? Second floor, 1609.
Outpost.
It's Outpost.
Yeah.
I was talking with him one day. He talked with his wife. This is the beginning of the pandemic. She wanted to open a tea shop. He was against it. She did. It's very successful. Next door is an innovative toy shop. So they're really diversifying and they're getting new restaurants in and things like that. But due to J.J. Mancini's vision and just being very proactive and positive, it's been a game changer for that area. And that's a leadership that downtown needs.
Yeah, no, I think that's what you were sort of pointing out in the comparison there, because we've talked about Old Town too with the scooters. We had mentioned some of the activity that was going on, and I think, that led to sort of the attention that they had to pay to have their own security. But it definitely makes a big difference, I'm sure. It's a smaller, more compact area, but...
They also have a group WhatsApp that they can communicate about security between the businesses. They post videos, a person, watch out for this, who's been an issue before. So they have that whole communication going on, along with, Q gear that gets out there right away. They can notify them through the app and everything. So they've been really proactive in cleaning up the security for Old Town.
And that was just creating a group through WhatsApp that they communicate through, because
Old Town did on their own.
Yeah, and again, I'm sure just, even a network like that established downtown would be able to help with,
Sure.
at least communicating some of that stuff, but that's an interesting approach. Definitely, hopefully we can, try to research some of those options and see if we can create any interest here in trying to create communication like that.
Huning Castle did the same thing a few years ago. They had a lot of vandalism going on, and then the residents got together, and then they have Q gear does surveillance in their neighborhood over there.
Well, it's obvious that we definitely have an uphill battle downtown, but again, I do feel that for a lot of us who spend time down here, we want to see those improvements. We want to return to a time when we don't have so many vacancies. And again, what was the term? Just the activity, the hub of activity that can be down here. Occasionally you see it on First Fridays and other times, but I feel it's definitely an impression change.
With so many vacancies downtown, do you have any understanding as why, for example, supply and demand is supposedly how our system works here, if there's a lot of vacancies, why aren't rents coming down to fill those vacancies?
That underutilization again.
But why would a property owner just let I mean, there were some buildings that have been vacant downtown for like decades. Why would the property owner not lower their rent to get somebody in there to collect some money? Do you have any indication as to why that is?
I have attempted to dive into that question with I confess not great results and conclusions, but as near as I can tell, a lot of people do think that way, right? Like a lot of people do think, hey, if there's no demand for this space, let's get someone in there. It could be free for all we care. Yeah. Pay the utilities, right? There are definitely a lot of downtown building owners that feel that way. And given the fact that vacancies are legion, but they're not actually a majority, it might even be that most people feel that way. But there are some situations where you would not necessarily be as motivated as you and I would be in that sort of a situation. One is maybe money's not that much of an issue to you. You pay your 10 grand in property taxes. You have some building super come by and make sure the place isn't imploding in on itself from time to time, and that's it, right? Like, I mean, maybe one day I'll be in a position where I don't mind what would that be? 5-figure expense every year that's not being productive, but I'm certainly not there. So that's one. Sometimes these things are tied up in family disputes. Legal. Sometimes the owner just has like personal problems that are kind of distracting them from the whole situation.
They live far away and they're absentee. But I mean, even like you mentioned, construction cost and the ability to even begin that have who knows quadrupled since.
Maybe you think that it could be an investment. You're like, I don't really need to do anything with this because I'm going to sell it in 5 years at an immense profit. So, whatever. Or maybe you just are stubborn and think it'll work eventually. I don't need to lower rent.
With some property owners own a large amount of property. Are some of the vacancies predominantly a handful of owners, or is it like pretty much random?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, there's the Garcias have quite a few vacancies, but Doug Peterson does not. Doug is, he has his critics, but he is pretty good about filling vacancies. In fact, he just in the old Valiant Printing building, he just is carving some new storefronts to kind of make it so we can pack even more activity and businesses into a building. But no, I think I don't think there's a particular. It's just a lot of individual weird cases. So.
The perplexing thing was a few years back, you had Dual Microbrewery that was the corner of 6th and Central that was great, and then they expanded to a rooftop bar. Then all of a sudden they're closed. And it was within a year or something. We were having dinner up in the Brickyard in Nob Hill, and the person that waited on us was the manager. We talked to him, we asked what happened. The owner tripled,
doubled or tripled
the rent all of a sudden. And
that's why they moved.
And you can't command that type of rent in downtown right now. It's like, why would you do that?
Now it's a school.
I mean, and you see this on the residential rental market too, right? There are some landlords that are like, I'm gonna find out what market rate is, charge slightly below that, have a great selection of tenants, get someone in there, lower turnover, laugh all the way to the bank, have an easier life. There are some landlords who have a different philosophy, and it's just like we're gonna get as much as we can, even if that provokes a risky turnover situation that may be gambling with the future bottom line. But I know it's different styles. Every person approaches money differently. Me, if I owned a building, I would right? Like whatever we need to do to get some business in here, we'll make it happen.
Well, and
but you know,
not
everyone.
that this relates directly, but even like recently the city council vote on those rental fees that the landlords were having people pay just to apply.
Yeah.
They wanted to bring that down because, again, it sort of seemed like a natural way to incentivize a little more people actually occupying some of these empty spaces, and that went away. So it almost sort of seems like we have to create some movement for, I don't know.
So maybe that's a question then. How much of this is pure market and how much of this is city regulations, city infrastructure, city bureaucracy?
I mean, that gets to another point, right? So you would, you know, the list I was giving Jerry of the kind of psychology of building owners is one side of the equation. But if you talk to the building owners, they would probably point the finger right back at the city and say, you know, you need to establish a more secure downtown, and then I will have a much easier time renting these spaces out. You need to run a planning department that can get me permissions in, you know, days rather than weeks or months, and then I will be in a much better position to do something. And I mean, you even have, you know, I mean, we keep talking about Doug, but he's even landlords that are fairly successful at getting their storefronts rented out have those critiques. So that's an ongoing issue. There's a lot of back and forth, and it's sometimes hard to know exactly where the truth lies. But
the old catch-22.
It wouldn't surprise me if they've got some very fair points there.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, apart from that, Elliot sort of has to has, you know, art overall been a factor up and down Central? And
so this is always an interesting question. I mean, I think you can certainly make the argument that art has had a serious impact, honestly, in some cases positive.
Yeah.
And in other cases negative. You know, if your particular stretch of Central is completely car dependent, then adding something that makes left turns harder
yeah.
is gonna probably be an issue. What I've noticed in Old Town is that there's some people. I'm not sure the status of their project, but they were trying to build a hotel right across from the San Felipe parking lot, and the art station was like a selling point because it's a hotel for one thing.
Yeah.
So maybe people aren't driving there anyway, but for another, art stations are usually the safest way to cross Central as a pedestrian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you build a hotel on the south end of Central,
Hotel Monterey, right there, that area.
More towards Rio Grande.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean that works too, right? If you build a hotel next to a safe pedestrian channel right into Old Town, that's potentially a major advantage to your business and therefore the economic development case for that whole strip.
Yeah.
So you get both sides of that equation in different parts of the corridor. In downtown though, I don't think art is really that much of a thing because the stations are not in the middle of Central.
Yeah.
They're kind of tucked away on Copper and Gold.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's there, but I have not heard the massive critique of art in the core that I have elsewhere.
Well, and it's funny, it sort of made me think of, I always think of art, the idea of coming down from, you know, east to west, but in reality it's a whole different vibe if you're heading west to east, into like through that area, into Old Town or, you know, across the river, that sort of thing. There might be an advantage that I
mean, yeah, I've taken art up and down the corridor, and it's, you know, it's a totally different. Here's another example. If you're going to, let's say, the Smiths at Central and Coors, on art, right? You get out at that station, and you are crossing 2 or 3 lanes of pretty ferocious traffic that is not thinking about pedestrians.
Right.
That is scary.
Right.
It feels way safer to like take the
other bus.
the other bus that stops on the side of the road. You don't have to deal with that.
Yeah.
Or at least
that's always been my
not as
complaint
much.
about the whole thing, having people cross.
But if you take art to the frontier,
Yeah.
you cross one lane
You're
of
right
pretty
there.
chill traffic, and you have an array. I mean, besides the frontier, you've got an array of cool businesses to go to. It's a night and day
Yeah.
situation. So
Yeah, I guess the
a
answer,
mixed
Elliot,
bag.
is it depends what part of Central you're talking about.
sorry,
there. Yeah.
Elliot, for that very long answer.
Yeah, go ahead, Jay.
I think one of the mistakes businesses have made is when they have their ads where they're located, they don't say like, we're 2 blocks from this art station
Yes.
where they can take it. Because we were just talking today about, we want to go up into Two Fools and have lunch up there. We'll take art up there. We want to go to Presbyterian Hospital, do blood tests and stuff. Take art up there. I mean, there's so many destinations that you can have along the corridor. You can go all the way up to Uptown and go to the mall if you want. I mean, but you know, you can either fight this stuff or you can embrace it. It's there. And I just don't understand why businesses, that could be a big perk for them, for people that are willing to use the bus to get more people in their stores.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely aspirational as far as a lot of the things that we're talking about. We have a ways to go for them, but I do feel that we have the groundwork for a lot of positive change if we can just get the communication to happen.
I mean, art needs more than just communication. But on the other hand, just by the numbers, it is pretty successful. I mean, it's darn near 200,000 boardings a month.
Yeah.
And that's no mean feat.
And if UNM does move some buildings downtown, you have an amazing corridor between the main campus and downtown using art that that not only activates the bus system, but also it activates intermediate stops that the people, students and professors would want to get out at.
And there was 2 where I just saw that they're changing bus schedules and things like that. And they mentioned, I haven't looked at it yet, but they talked about having the buses run later on weekends and stuff.
Yeah.
And one of the things we were doing, we were going to Popejoy Hall and taking art. And the first time that we took it, 19 people got on at the station going downtown. So I mean, again, because they've taken a parking lot away across from Johnson Field now.
Right. Yeah.
That's going to create more parking problems around there too.
Well, I guess we've come to a close here. I'll wrap it up, but I just wanted to thank everybody who joined us, as well as the people here in the audience. My next session will be the 12th of next month. In fact, I think I'll be talking about pedestrian safety along the Central Corridor and what that looks like. Other than that, thank you again for everybody on the call. Be safe out there. A happy new year, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for joining us. We welcome your suggestions regarding any scenario involving future public safety echo sessions. For more information, visit www.cabq.gov/echo.